We have our last session, panel discussion. The topic of discussion is going to be the evolution of advertising, challenges and opportunities for the new age brands. This session covers a range of significant points reflecting on how advertising has transformed over the years and how brands have revitalized their strategies with modern consumers and build lasting relationships by embracing technology, maintaining ethical practices, and focusing on personalized, immersive, and value-driven content for navigating this dynamic landscape. To discuss on this, we have our industry experts who will be joining us on this panel. Please allow me to welcome them and please join me in welcoming them. I would like to invite Rumi Ambastha, Associate Vice President Marketing, Swiss Beauty. Very warm welcome to you. Devi aur sajno zorda taaliyon se let's welcome our panel member on stage. Also welcoming Himanshu Sirohi, Head of Digital Marketing, Apollo 24/7. A very warm welcome to you. Welcoming our next panel member, Abhishek Mehta, Head of Marketing, Bagrry. A very warm welcome to you. And to moderate this session, may I call our session chair, Varun Mohan, Head of Growth and Revenue, MIQ. A very, very warm welcome to you. So it's going to be a very interesting panel discussion, though it's the last session of the day, the evolution of advertising, challenges and opportunities for the new age brands. So hence, over to you, Varun. Thank you.
Firstly, thank you. Evening, especially the last session is going to be quite, challenging one in fact. And it's, technically it's our duty to make sure that it's going to be, making sure that it's going to be interesting and insightful for you all. So we'll start from here. Today we had many sessions which was talking about connected TV evolution as well as transformation of digital, how the whole retail media space and in terms of what are the key aspects of each of these avenues, so on and so forth, right? So what we're going to today, in this session particularly talk about is a quick summary of all of these in a nutshell, where we started the digital in terms of how it been a decade, almost 2 decades back, and where are we today, what are the kind of changes we've seen in this whole space, and what we can expect, in the coming half a decade to a decade time, and how that kind of change the way we look at the digital as a space overall. So to start with, I would want to highlight about or talk about that how I have seen the change personally in the space, right? 2 decades back almost when I started the digital, being in the digital space, it was a time where you put an ad like a hardcode ad on a website, right? You just put like the first RHS, you'd actually book an ad by first RHS, second RHS, for a particular client for 1 month, 30 days kind of thing. And we have evolved quite a lot from that time till today in terms of how we are adding data layering, how we are understanding the audience behavior, and how we making this whole space most effective and making it efficient for all the brand custodians in fact, right? So today in this context, what I want to talk about is what we have seen in terms of our digital evolution, as well as what gonna make us, what is the value, what we're gonna see from this space, right? So to start with, Abhishek, what is the, top digital priorities as a, consumer, a CPG brand? How do you look at it?
So, see, what is happening these days is the digital landscape. So the digital landscape is changing rapidly, right? So, quick commerce, we all can see Blinkit, Zepto, sort of competing head to head with Amazon, right? And all this has somehow impacted growth of D2Cs or in general offline sales as well. What I see, because Bagrry is a legacy brand with a lot of new age products. We are sort of innovators in terms of oats. We're the first brand launching oats in India, muesli in India. The problem for us when we started was they were way ahead of their curve, these products, right? So my audience, today is anywhere between somebody who's an 18-year-old to 50 plus, because somebody who's consuming our product from last 20 years, 30 years, and we have customers. We generally get a lot of letters like that. So one is this challenge. Second is, the evolution of quick commerce, increased rapidly changing landscape. And third is, of course, the fragmentation of consumers. You have your open internet, and of course your likes of Facebook, Meta, and all that. So the consumer journey is not really defined, right? If you have to get a consolidated reach, it's very difficult. For me, looking at all this as a brand marketer is to make sure my brand is relevant and impactful. These are two pillars which I focus, whichever brand I work with. And then, of course, try to cater or, strategize my marketing communication, advertising strategy, selection of channels accordingly. So if the business needs us to be relevant on quick commerce, move budgets from social media to quick commerce, cut down my advertising which is running on, say, impressions or awareness there, or in general cut out my spends on Amazon and make sure I am seen on top of there, or I'm available, I would do that. So making sure us being relevant to the changing consumer landscape is most important, because consumer will not put their efforts to find you these days. There are tons of options. New D2C brands are disrupting the field, like so Swiss Beauty and all that. Challenging the traditional brand. There are a lot of brands in our space as well. So for me, it's being relevant, impactful, and make sure we choose or select channels and communication strategies and move our budgets accordingly.
Interesting. And how about on a health and pharma side, Himanshu?
So Apollo as a group needs no introduction, right? As a group, we are a 40-year-old legacy company, the first private hospital in India. From there to 6,000 plus pharmacies, 2,000 plus diagnostic lab centers. So from a group standpoint, I think the brand is fairly well established, especially on the tertiary care side. But again, Apollo 24/7 as a brand had its own set of unique challenges, wherein one, this is the digital arm of the group. And when you look India's healthcare ecosystem, from a tertiary healthcare lens, there are enough hospitals, enough organized groups who are managing this space very well. But if you look at primary or secondary healthcare, that's where you see a lot of challenges in terms of organization and consolidation. So Apollo 24/7 is an initiative by the Apollo Group, wherein we are the digital arm of the entire Apollo Group, and we help generate demand, we help manage customers for the entire group. Now, my three biggest priorities are, the first one being user experience, wherein how do we create unique, personalized experiences for users on my digital assets, as well as when the customer is visiting one of our brick and mortar businesses, one of our legacy businesses, how does that data from online to offline or offline to online get sent, stored, and then those personalized experiences are displayed. The second aspect is also managing omni-channel presence, because for a business like us, while Apollo 24/7 has a very strong digital footprint, we also have a very strong footprint in the offline space with a lot of pharmacies, a lot of hospitals, and it being a very known brand. So again, that data consolidation, omni-channel presence, and then user experience. I think all these three go in hand for me. And how do I kind of create a balance among the three? That probably would be the biggest priority for Apollo as a brand for us.
Thanks, Himanshu. How about you, Rumi, about Swiss Beauty?
Should be on. Hello. So Swiss Beauty is it's a 10-year-old brand. It's been into color cosmetics, and it used to be very heavy offline. But for the past 3 years or so, about 40% of the business comes from online. And from therein, where my priorities have started to change when it comes to heading the marketing for Swiss Beauty. I think I can summarize the whole thing in one word, which is hyper-personalization. And I think that's where my biggest priority lies, because in color cosmetic, it's very important that you are, defining your target audience in a way that you know exactly what happens and what are the goings of this person's a day in the life of, in that person's life. And that's how we generally try and define our target audience, a day in the life of this person. Now, exactly what is this person doing from the time this person wakes up to the time this person goes to sleep? What are the mediums that this person, what are the content this person is consuming? So where and all can I find this person so that I can be, I'm just going to borrow a word here where he said about relevance, right? So it's relevant that I am present on a certain media so that I can keep reminding this person about me. I have to have a very fair mix of data and the tools that is there with me, so that I'm not only telling this person, hey, buy this lipstick. I'm saying, hey, I know that you bought this lipstick about 2 months ago or 3 months ago. I know you must be running out, and I know this is the shade that you like, and I know that this is the pack size that you prefer. And then I show that person at the time that is most convenient to this person, in the most relevant language that is preferred to this person. So, these days, I mean, traditional days, it was all about the TV talking to you, the radio talking to you, the newspaper talking to you. You're not talking back, right? There is no way of talking back, correct? But now, even when you get a shampoo bottle, there is a bloody QR code on it, because every brand wants you to talk to them. And the consumer does not want to really. They have enough and more problems in their life, and enough or more brand trying to take their attention. They don't want to give you attention. It's our job, us as marketing heads, it's our job how to find that one little weak moment where I can give the most crisp, languagely driven, story driven, one sentence to this person, so that you say, oh yeah, this one gets me, this one understands me, I'm going to keep coming back, because the game is repeat at the end of the day. So I think hyper-personalization is somewhere where my priority and my challenge both lies.
Perfect. So I was just looking to hear from you all to understand that, what are the key factors, and that gives me enough topic to continue the session now in terms of omni-channel, in terms of the role of data, role of e-commerce, retail media, as well as the personalization part of it. And the common factor which I've seen from all of you is in terms of how the audience behavior have changed from then to today. And that is something which, as a brand custodian, you are capitalizing it. So from each categories, because we have a diverse panel today, each category perspective, how are you seeing your consumers' behavior is changing in digital space?
So ours is a traditional FMCG brand. So even till last year, the split used to be 70%, 80% coming from offline, which is modern trade, GT. Modern trade, you can take channels like Reliance, DMart, and GT is, of course, the normal mom and pop shops we have. And of course, e-commerce. Amazon used to be the biggest channel for us. What has happened in the last 12 months is the rapid rise of quick commerce. A lot of money has been pumped in by these players in terms of customer experience, delivery, 10, 20 minutes commitment. That's sort of awesome, right? You can literally, you can afford to keep missing items from your grocery list every day, every now and then these people can actually deliver you. Of course, you can afford those special V's which are mentioned on LinkedIn every now and then. So, but in general, if you look at, the behavior has changed rapidly. Amazon, in general, it's still relevant for us when I see consumer journeys, but when I see Amazon, it has more become like a consumer search for product or any particular device which I want to buy. I would go there. You
mean to say that it technically replaces the Google search and
yeah. Google search, I would have to do a lot of effort. I would have to go open those links. Generative AI, I know still on the testing stage and all that, answers might not be relevant. But Amazon, I can read people's comment about it. I can see the images. I can read, because the space, real estate is a lot more. And if the price matches or something, I can see I can afford the variable there, I would go and buy from quick commerce. Why would I like to wait for a 2 days or a 3 days or a 5 days time? Something which is readily available. So, in terms of buying journeys, quick commerce for us has become big. We have, which I didn't want to, but have to put in a lot of money additionally for quick commerce. There's a separate marketing budget for quick commerce now. The communications is still a challenge on quick commerce, because you don't get a lot of real estate in terms of content or images, right? So you have to rely on what communication you are doing on your social media or other marketing platforms you have. Of course, Amazon or Flipkart in general, and then make sure these are the ones which are converting. how I see is that ADA funnel, which used to awareness, interest, desire, and action, that funnel is now broken by these channels. You pretty much see it, like it, sort of buy it. You would not do that 2 steps. You would purchase it. The purchase power is there and all that. So for us, this is one aspect. And then additionally, what we are doing is, content is everywhere these days. Every dude, every other guy is starting a podcast or a YouTube channel, right? Even I'm thinking starting a podcast, right? There's a meeting happening with my couple of friends on this Sunday, or YouTube meeting, or basically a Zoom meeting. We would like to decide what channels we want to, what topics and content we want to put in. So everybody, literally everybody wants to make content because everybody is seeing there's a lot of money involved and all that. That's one of the reasons, right? So the content, in terms of content, there's a lot of excess content available. Too much. You can't absorb this much of Gyan every day, right? Podcasts are there, right? You have to listen to Ganas as well. You have to listen to podcasts as well. You have to make sure somebody's talking about something fancy. You know what that is. So the content is excess. What is more important is a lot of regional areas and regional states, the local language content is growing up. For us, make sure wherever it is possible, especially on digital, make sure we use vernacular, local languages. In journal, we want to target people who buy from Reliance in journal. Running a digital campaign that's in Maharashtra, we run it in Marathi. See what kind of impact it drive for us. These are 2 important things for us. And then they'll use data on and off wherever possible. Amazon is cost big for us. It gives you a lot of data through Helium, Amazon Pi, which way you can actually decode a lot of consumer journeys and tailor your targeting accordingly.
Okay, thanks, Abhishek. How about you, Himanshu, in terms of your space, how you're seeing that,
So I think customer has always been the king, just that now this king is very impatient. So the biggest, mad king. So the customer is truly the king and very impatient. And I don't think quick commerce is actually something of a growth lever. I think it's a basic hygiene now. With the advent of all of these Blinkits of the world, Zeptos of the world, I think they've kind of changed a lot of market realities. And if you look at Amazon, right, with the exception of China, wherever they have gone, they've kind of been a very dominant leader in their e-commerce space with a very well-established model, a very well-established supply chain, and in the way they deliver across the globe, they have been kind of replicating that model across different countries. Now with quick commerce, I am very sure Jeff Bezos must be having some sleepless nights because India as a market is truly phenomenal, very different to anywhere in the world. The cost of delivery, I think, is one of the big drivers behind quick commerce kind of rapidly growing and customer becoming more impatient. Another way I look at it, right, now this is from a delivery lens where I see the customer being a value seeker, customer being very impatient, TATs become very important for those customers. Now beyond that, even from a brand and becoming a part of the customer's consideration set, that is also very challenging, right? As Abhishek just mentioned, right? The kind of content that is available and the same content being available in so many languages. Vernacular is a different place, the formats is a different place, Reels is a different place, podcasting is a different place. And the customer is just playing all of these different content types and that's a big challenge for a brand, right? There's only a limited number of experiences you can give to a customer. There's a limited number of content formats you can be present, and defining and deciding that kind of defines your media mix. How do you look at your organic IPs? So that is definitely changed. And yeah, I think impatience being one of the key drivers for a lot of brands and how they are planning to acquire customers or retain them.
All right. Thanks, Himanshu. How about you, Rumi? Are your audience also still continue to be the Mad King, or how?
No, the Mad Queen, I would say. So yeah, Mad Queens, yes, for sure. I think the biggest, so Swiss Beauty is an omni-channel brand in the truest form, right? It's present across about more than 25,000 GT touchpoints and MTOs and modern trade and EBOs. So it's very well, the network, offline network is pretty heavy. And online also, from marketplace to its own website, to quick commerce, Blinkit, Zeptos of the world, it's everywhere. Uh, and the reason why omni-channel is much more important now, and we realize the importance of it now, is because your consumer is everywhere. Your consumer is not just getting aware about your product offline and buying offline and that's it, end of story, let's go home. It's not as linear anymore, right? Even the stuff that he was talking about, awareness, consideration, and then you are actually, buying the product. It's not, the whole funnel is also not linear anymore. Your consumer is constantly jumping from one funnel to the other, right? You are making the consumer aware probably on InShots, and then he comes on your website, and then after browsing your website for a while, he's like, oh no, I don't feel like it, and it's gonna go away, and then he's forgotten about you, and then again, the funnel keeps moving all the time. So as a marketing person, you have to keep all the funnels, every time, all guns blazing, at all media and all platforms at all the time, because the lead generation is not very linear. Your consumer is not very linear. And especially for color cosmetics also, I mean, I can talk about that. It is not, right? So that means there is a whole lot of retargeting. I have to again go on Reels and try and capture this person again by using what is trending right now, right? And once that is done, then I'm gonna go and, probably launch a podcast or probably a YouTube channel, and then I'm gonna retarget this person again because I probably lost this person, right? In offline, I mean, you cannot imagine, that walking to a kirana store and saying कि अच्छा ये मेरा मन नहीं कर रहा अभी खरीदने का भी अपने पास रख लो, मैं वापस आऊँगा नहीं आऊँगा पता नहीं. But on website, you can keep it in the cart and then you forget that it's there. And then I have to keep reminding you, hey, it's there in the cart. You remember? Do you remember me? I'm still here. So it's very, very challenging. But omni-channel, another thing that I really want to touch upon is the language. The way that the person is interacting with you at a exclusive brand outlet, where you have the trained person sitting there talking the brand language to this person. You cannot break that, the story, you cannot break that language, that tone, when that person now is probably interacting with you on a bot, or a person is now interacting with you on in the DM on social media, or the person now is probably asking you, coming live with you on your social media platform, so on and so forth. So various touch points, how do you keep the language, the tone of the brand similar, so that it feels like, yes, I'm part of this one world, this one home, and the chain doesn't break. He doesn't feel that, oh, you used to talk to me like this over there, but now that I'm on the website, I don't know what is happening, right? And that is a huge challenge, yet an opportunity, yet an and also a priority, because once I have truly bought you with my story, in whatever media that you probably are interacting with me, the chances are that you will become my repeat customer. The chances are you will remember that how this brand makes me feel, rather than what is this brand selling. So from that perspective, it becomes extremely crucial for me.
Got it. Okay. So with Mad King and Mad Queen around, I think that gonna exist. We can't shy away from it, or we can't run away from it. The only thing what we need to focus is how we can manage, these Mad King and Mad Queen, and still manage the game of, still hold the throne to us, I would say. Taking that into consideration, so what would be, I'll keep you aside from this conversation, because considering you being a CPG brand, your focus is more towards Q-commerce and e-commerce, which is the next thing which I would want to come back to you. Meanwhile, with Himanshu, because you are the only one who, out of all three, focus on the fulfillment as well, in terms of the last mile reaching to the end consumer perspective. What is the role of data into your whole ecosystem, and how that add value into your revenue generation, or in terms of your client acquisition and retention perspective?
So one biggest piece is we are sitting as Apollo as a group, is sitting on data which is not only digital, a lot of those touch points are offline. So while you might book a doctor consultation from my app, but the actual servicing or the actual consultation happens in one of my hospitals or Apollo clinics. If you actually book a lab test, right? If flebo that comes to your house for sample collection is a part of Apollo Diagnostics, which is a sister company. Now, how did that experience go? If you are entering an Apollo pharmacy and taking a medicine from pharmacy, how does those data points come back to me on Apollo 247 so that I can then personalize the journey when the same customer comes back to me? So data is truly important. The problem with data and for legacy companies like us, so while structured data, which is flowing from your digital assets, be it an app or websites, and again we have about 35 million app download till date. We have over 1 million users visiting our website every single day. So in terms of scale, all of those data points are very structured. We have tools at the back end, all of that analytics flows, all of that clickstream data, app data kind of flows back in a very streamlined way onto our data marts. But for offline touch points, that is where the challenges happen, because you will receive a lot of feed files with unstructured data. How do you map it back to the same customer? Different data structures across the group. How do you kind of join all of that? So it took us a lot of time, about 3 to 4 years, on how do we define those structures, how do we integrate all of the group data, how do we manage sensitive category data aside, so something like an oncology category. That data we kind of manage because that's holy and that's preserved in a different sort of a data cube compared to data for a visitor who's coming to buy an OTC product or a skincare product. So different data sets, different categories, different experiences, be it digital, be it physical or digital. So all of that really changes, and the customer will not only come to your app or will not come to your website. The customer will keep on hopping across different touch points. Now the same customer, me being a customer of Apollo, I might book an appointment, I might be feeling a little feverish. I might book an appointment to visit a doctor. I might go to the Jasola hospital, see a doctor. Then I probably might buy my medicine right in the hospital pharmacy, or I might order it on the app. Then probably I need a lab test. I might go to a nearby diagnostic center, or I might probably book it from the app and someone comes from a home for a home sample collection. Now all of that feedback has to flow in very, very well. One interesting thing we did from a data lens is our loyalty program, which is Apollo Circle, is actually both offline and online. So there is no different loyalty program for an offline pharmacy compared to apollopharmacy.in or on the Apollo 247 app. Now integrating those loyalty programs is also complex, but that is something you need to define, because the customer is buying from Apollo. They are not hopping across our ecosystem. They don't understand how data sets are disjointed. You have to figure out one customer view, and that is something we have been able to do the last 3 to 4 years. And that is what I feel would be the moat for us, wherein how much I understand about every single customer. How can I reach out to the same customer, whether he's browsing something on Meta, he's on YouTube, or the customer is probably watching something on JioCinema. How do I, once the customer has registered, has become from a prospect to a customer, how do I change my on-asset experiences, whether it is app or web? How do I get offline data and probably customize or personalize those experiences? And then finally, those refill reminders, those CRM campaigns. Someone left a product in the cart, how do I get this customer back? So then CRM plays a major role, wherein you have to reactivate those customers, you have to build a share of voice by personalizing communications. So all of that, while looks complex at the back end, but is very, very important for the customer to see us as one Apollo group rather than standalone companies inside the group.
No, absolutely. So, Rumi, that brings me to the next question there. You mentioned that in terms of Versus Beauty, I believe almost 60% would be your offline sales.
Yes.
And 40 would be your online, and 30 out of 50% would be your marketplaces, and 50 would be your own D2C platform, right? And that technically that 20% is where your cart, where you have data that people add to cart and not closing the cart standpoint.
Why is everybody stuck on that? I don't know. But yeah.
So that's a very interesting point there.
Sorry?
So on that perspective, what is the role of the data? I mean, as you were talking about that e-commerce or the third-party platform is not sharing data. So how are you going to manage your the whole journey user? I mean, personalization is very important, as you've been speaking about. Between these platforms, how do you manage your user behavior or in terms of engaging with these consumers?
So I think I can't probably harp more on the importance of a good customer understanding. A good customer understanding, the segmentation and how you slice your customers, because it's not just about understanding them demographically, you have to understand them psychographically also. So that means there is a lot of surveys that you also need to do with this audience that you have. And also at the end of the day, any brand would try to make a community, you know. Most of us are, in most of the industries that I have worked on, all we are trying to do is build a brand affinity community, and this will only happen once you understand really what goes on into the day of this person and where exactly am I fitting in. Sending unnecessarily a notification at 2 in the night to a consumer when I know that this person is not probably a late night binge buyer, it's only going to put them off, right? So how we use the data is basically not to just tell them about the products that are available, but also about that, hey, this goes with that, you're likely to buy this because most people have done that, or you have bought this and now it's time for, a replenishment. So that before you even think that you need me, I'm there telling you, hey, you might need me, right? So I think these are the ways that it's all about predicting, really. And also, you will only understand that once you have understood the lifetime value of this person and how this person is interacting with you. And website is the only way. If you don't have an app, website is the only way to get this data, because nowhere else are you gonna, or the other partners are not gonna share it with you.
Right. That brings me to that point what Abhishek was talking about. One, adding to that point as well as second, you also mentioned about how Q-commerce, unlike Amazon being a search platform, Q-commerce is taking a huge, controlling the space a lot kind of thing. What is the future of Q-commerce according to you? We'll keep it crisp and short because it's sitting on my head.
So see, I'll just add to what she said. See, if you are handcuffed by data, you don't have a lot of data, and you're of course someone who sells primarily in retail, of course trying to make your mark in e-commerce and quick commerce, and then of course your website like ours doesn't do well, and you're sort of very limited in terms of data. So anyone who's starting your brand, or if you're even a traditional brand, launch your products on Amazon, use 2 super cool tools by Amazon, which is Amazon Pie, Amazon Ads Analytics, which is AMS, and then buy a third-party tool called Helium 10. You would get each and everything about a consumer, what they are buying, which product are they buying if they are not buying your product, what is their average cart size, which geographies do they operate in. It would not give you exact email ID, phone numbers, but it will still give you a perception about your consumers. So rather than shooting in the dark, purchasing and then not having any idea about your communication strategy or the medias you should be opting in, this would at least give you some ground to operate in. And again, the future of marketing or e-commerce would depend on how easily or how detailed you can read this data. See, channels preferences, channels and general preferences, or the way communication is done, it would keep on changing. That's how human beings have evolved. But if you understand how to read data, how to make most out of it, what should be done, what platform you should be using, then I think there are good chances. AI would be there. AI I don't think is a threat anymore. It's more like your companion. You've been trying him sitting on the back seat, using it for your hygiene purpose. But I don't think AIs and all can think the way you and I can think creatively right now, right? So it's more about how you read data moving forward.
Got it. Thanks. Just take 2 minutes just to conclude what we started.
Yes, sure.
That brings me to, with Himanshu in terms of what is the role of generative AI, because you mentioned about the data, you mentioned about how you're going to do the fulfillment to the last mile. What is the role of generative AI in your space?
So generative AI at the moment for us is more to do with creating some very, very tailored experiences for folks. So we don't use generative AI for creating a lot of content, because we are a healthcare brand, and a lot of content that you see on generative AI is probably not medically verified. And we have a direct partnership with Google. So about 7,000 ailments, be it a cough from a cardiac arrest to cancer, all of these 7,000 ailments, if you search on Google about them, you will see a knowledge panel dedicatedly by Apollo hospitals, wherein we serve content on Google via this partnership. So generative AI, it's actually a double-edged sword. That's how I look at it. It's a great way to kill off the writer's block, get some really good, cool ideas. Probably your CRM comms can become very impactful if you can create good style sheets and then use an LLM on top of it. Then probably you can use it well. But again, one of the recent things that just happened, so Google had launched a core update a couple of weeks back in August. And one of our competitors, they were using generative AI big time. That led to them losing about 45% of their organic traffic over the last 10 days. So it's kind of a double-edged sword on how Google perceives it. And again, probably AI-generated content is not there. So the way I would position this is human-edited, AI-generated. That's the way to go for now. But again, in future, the way this whole landscape is evolving, I see it making a lot of inroads into the marketing campaigns.
Got it. Thanks, Himanshu. So in a nutshell, what we see is as being a marketer or brand custodian, you all need to be pragmatic. You need to adapt to changes. You need to welcome in terms of the, keep an eyes and ears open in terms of adapting to all learnings and understanding, in a nutshell. Yeah, that brings to the end of our session. Thanks for the valuable insights to me, Himanshu and Abhishek. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, panel members. May I request you all to please stay back as we have a felicitation ceremony that will be taking place. And I would request Mr. Varun Mohan to please do the honors and felicitate all our panel members. And I would have the honor to felicitate you at the end. It was indeed a very interesting panel discussion on the topic evolution of advertising, challenges and opportunities for the new age brands. We felicitate our panel members Harmeet Singh, Chief Brand Officer, Asia South, The Body Shop. I'm sorry. We felicitate Rumi, Ambastha, Associate Vice President Marketing, Swiss Beauty. We also felicitate Himanshu, Sirohi, Head of Digital Marketing, Apollo 24/7. Abhishek, Mehta, Head of Marketing, Bagrry. And we shall have the honor to felicitate our session chair, Varun Mohan, Head of Growth and Revenue, MIQ. Please stay back. So our panel members have shared their insights, they have shared their knowledge, their experience along with us. This was the last session of today, the evolution of advertising, challenges and opportunities for the new age brands. Ladies and gentlemen, I am certain that we all had a great time listening from the experts of the industry. Thank you.